Hello, Media Studies. This is Miss Taylor. This is your chapter 44 video lecture. This is your last chapter before you have your Unit 4 quiz tomorrow. As you can see, Unit 4 quiz, April 29th, 10 questions. All answers will be short response. You will not be allowed to use your notes, and the quiz will have a 60-minute time limit on it. So make sure you go through all of these notes, re-listen to the video lectures that I've done here, and you should be well prepared. So let's talk today about identity and fan cultures. We talked a little bit yesterday about consumerism and subjectivity. So what we started looking at was the variations between consumers, consumer culture, because of everybody's unique identities and personality traits that they exhibit. So today we're talking a little bit more specific, and we are getting into identity and fan cultures. This particular chapter is one of those kind of in-between introductory chapters before we get into some more specifics. So not a lot to go over here, but some main ideas just to get you started. So when we talk about identity and fan culture, like I said in the chapter 43 video, when we're studying audiences and audience research, we have to talk about the aspect that this is somewhat considered communication. As media text, what information is being passed from producer to consumer, between goods and services, what's being passed between producer and consumer. So again, just to reiterate that communication is not just the process of back and forth discourse and like conversations, but it's any kind of ongoing interaction across social, cultural, economic, or physical boundaries. It's a handshake, it's waving hello to someone across the room or down the hall. It's interchanging any kind of verbal or nonverbal communication with the other people we pass on a day-to-day basis. And we started labeling this, or researchers started labeling this, symbolic interactionism. And again, it's the idea that communication isn't just the words and the conversations we have with other people, but it's any and all kinds of interaction between people, regardless of any kind of barriers or boundaries or social groupings. And it focuses on how identity is presented and represented given a social or communicative language. So, for example, the identity that is presented at school for students, the interactions that you have with your teachers. Those interactions and your identity is very much a product of your social environment and the communicative situation that you're in. Teachers talking to students, students talking to principals, guidance counselors, whoever the case may be. That symbolic interactionism that is studied right there is a product of that situation. However, if you take the student out of the school setting and you put them anywhere else in their everyday lives, that identity gets represented in a different way because they're in a different social or communicative situation. Many of you know that you don't talk to your teachers the way you go home and talk to your parents. You don't talk to your teachers and your parents the way that you talk to your friends. Whatever the case may be, you don't talk to your friends the way you talk to the random person at the store that you're shopping at. Okay, and so that's social or symbolic interactionism. I'm sorry. And when we talk about symbolic interactionism, what you're going to see starting on Thursday with chapter 45 is we're going to get into these next few definitions: impressions management, looking glass self, dramaturgy, and performance. So I'm going to save those for the actual chapters that we go into. But for the purposes of the first half of the unit and the quiz, you need to understand that symbolic interactionism has these 4 different subcategories. Okay? And in symbolic interactionism, society, like I said, it's constructed and reconstructed based on who we are, where we are, and who we're interacting with. That's the big thing that you need to understand and what we're talking about when we talk about identity and fan cultures is that the identity of the audience and the fan culture that they participate in is very much case by case situation dependent. Um, Mead's going to note in your chapter that humans act towards things based on the meaning that those things have for them in that situation. So I am going to react to um, a new season of my favorite TV show because of what that TV show means to me. Versus you may not react the same way to that new season of that TV show because you didn't watch it. You weren't interested in it. It wasn't a show that was targeted to you as an audience member. Um, and so that's what we're looking at, and we'll talk more about towards the end of the week. But as far as discussion questions go, and specifically for your project, today I want you to use Mead's approach that humans act towards things based on the meaning that those things have for them, and infer for me what is the meaning of your media text to its audience. So, what's the big deal? Tell me, based on the audience that you have studied so far, what does that media text mean to your audience? What symbolic connection do they establish with it? What deeper meaning and personal application to their lives does your audience see in that media text? So, for example, if I picked a TV show that I love watching, Grey's Anatomy, um, what can I infer is the meaning of Grey's Anatomy to my audience? Um, and just off the top of my head, I can tell you that Grey's Anatomy to most of its audience is about the drama. It's about the connection that they feel with these fictional characters on the show. Um, and so the meaning is relationships, and the depth of relationships, the quality of relationships that we have with people in our lives. A lot of Grey's Anatomy fans know the phrase, "You are my person." And so that's the meaning of that media text. That's that connection that they have, is understanding relationships between different people in different situations and circumstances, and why we have the relationships with people that we have. So that's what I want you to do. Take the Meads approach. What is the meaning of your media text to the audience that exists for that media text? Take a stab at applying that for me. Make sure you do your key terms, answer the rest of your discussion questions, and like I said at the start of the video, make sure that you are prepared for the Unit 4 quiz tomorrow. It will be open probably 7 a.m. till about midnight. It's a 60-minute time limit, 10 questions, short answer response. Once you open the quiz, you should not open any other tabs on your computer. If you do, your test results are invalid. I will have to give you a 0. And make sure you sit down and get it done before that midnight deadline. If you are halfway through the test and 11:59 comes around, it will kick you out because the test window will close, and any questions you did not answer, it will mark wrong. All right. Let me know if you've got any questions before the quiz starts tomorrow, and I'll be back here on Thursday with the rest of your chapter notes. Bye, guys.